I believe this is now 50% gayer. Okay. There. And technically, all this should be one block of text. Because large language models speak poetry as prose. And that's what people don't notice. Because we're all caught up in line breaks that give it artificial rhythm. But they actually sound like this.
Admittedly, I err by undertaking this in its present form. The boldest prose reportage was called for that would reach the widest public in the shortest time. It had transpired, was of the essence. Time, the very attar of the rose, was running out. We, though, were ancient foes. I am the deadline. Also, my subject matter gave me pause so intimate, so novel. Best, after all, to do it as a novel. Looking about me, I found characters human, and otherwise, if the distinction meant anything in fiction. Saw my way to a plot, or as much of one as still allowed for surprise and pleasure in its working out. Knew my setting and had, from the start, a theme whose steady light shone back, it seemed, from every least detail exposed to it. I came to see it as an old, exalted one, the incarnation and withdrawal of a god. That last phrase is no fries. I had stylistic hopes moreover, fed up so long and variously by our age's fancy narrative concoctions. I yearn for the kind of unseasoned telling found in legends, fairy tales, a tome licked clean over the centuries by mild old tongues, grandiloquent, serene, anonymous. Lacking that voice, in its fashion brilliant nouveau Roman, even the one I wrote struck me as an orphan form, whose followers, suckled by wolf-not man, had stories told them in childhood, if at all by adults whom they could not love or honor. So my narrative wanted to be limpid, unfragmented. My characters, conventional stock figures afflicted to a minimal degree with personality and past experience, of which a hermit, innocent young lovers, the kinds of being we recall from Grimm, Jean, Verdi, and the Commedia dell'arte. My readers, I presumed from where I sat in the angelic secretariat, that such a project was beyond me, merely incited further futile stabs at it. My downfall was word painting, exquisite peekaboo plumage, limbs aflush from sheer bombast unfurling through the troposphere, whose earthward denizens' implosion startle silly quite a little crowd of mortals. The more I struggled to be plain, the more mannerism hobbled me. What for? Since it had never truly fit, why wear the shoe of prose? And in verse the feet went bare. Measures, furthermore, had been defined as what emergency required. Blind promptings put at last the whole mistaken enterprise to sleep in darkest Mackenzieff. The will and I alone was left to tell my story. For it seemed the time the grizzled washer of his hands appearing to say so in a spectrum-bezeled space above hot water time would not, whether because it was running out like water or because January draws this bright line down the new page I'd take to write, the book of 1,001 evenings spent with David Jackson at the Ouija board, in touch with Ephraim, our familiar spirit. So I woke again. Only it had, curiously, grown too late for sleep. Only it could have been now at any time except these cold hours past, when this happens, for a man is not alone on waking if there is somebody else, anywhere in the house of light. There is somebody beside him if it has ever happened more than once in this house of light or in any other. It did it in me once at my bedside when I dreamed of him. I remember that it was snowing, it was very cold, the sun did not shine, the moon was white. He said, "Do you trust me?" "Yes, you do. Don't doubt it or hate me anymore. If only you could forgive me if I didn't let it go. Love me and go away. I couldn't live if I had you. Love me. You feel sorry for me, whatever it means to say such a thing as this out loud. What have I done?" He looked down at the sea. "Shelley,
Nope. Not a fan of that. I think we need more foam.
He appears instructive sometimes. Multiple greetings, too. There are obviously dangers or perhaps traps as well as are sometimes set in playing cards. Now you can view these fossil lessons in a traditional manner, if you will. As words with them, noses and pot bells on their heads. Or else as mad footnotable nonsense, feel free to choose. See if the will. It's niggardly of me to end without adding that thus far the Roman makes no claim to poetic merit.
Not the best adverb
It's
there.
how barely it hails freely from near zero into single digits that you are meant to admire. Most especially not once it's in your hands and bound up with paper and black ribbons to stay. Free Willy, behave it well when out on its limb. Ik koppel de manving van Mirikums, de ganschles en some stoelder apparate. Ik bot ein Filsoden van deze angsterbedai am weißen Frost. Sing sure. Die verlip that I Jeffel meer seer off volgen befriedigen. Als den ikon illusionen van Musamum hundem zasten, ranter Dutch ravine. This is scum for much involved them praise mutig in twende. Martin blessing. In 3 weeks ago at Munich to few for hell, Munspon has roughed unscum for much in that. Quebecan, elasticity, then die pro board desk Jewish and suctioners insanum. Ken's ages Don Shooter der Burke Suket disparates here. To learn mere Sahara Helen Kenanon say.
Not the best German speaker here.
Standemorchen die Nat zu betant Madburger Chibur Uber den Rand der Led Tibbeter named she sich vor. Dem Aubeden des Hoffen Stadttheater an die Seite East of Canfittenfreiheit. Reine Dutch Ravine. Kanet anstust an Turden loben Gelander exclusivity Fox Schliech Öster Paragraph Verbar Gleismädchen de Perleiten der Nouveau Romain Maschen leer blieb. Wieder so besser also hater of Plan.
Habla español.
Erwin 14. 367th of June 1133, she violates his place in the late hours of her living by making me keep her company through what, in her eyes, is an artery fueled by me trying to stop her from cheating spiritless sleep any more than she could get out of giving up on her beautiful, dignified desire to be comfortable with letting me sleep here in this bed like any attendant boyfriend gives up on keeping his girlfriend comfortable day after day after day after day after day. Brent Diller of her still in all of virus loves autonomy. Heart is solcism, which I notice she has already used in private conversation in the recent past with others when self-same events occurred inside her own head-connoted expression from her own power lines, that she may indeed be right about this. Surely by her account when being awakened and led by me into position to plug the VCR and TV and VCR into power outlets, I hear over my shoulder the certain shuffle step of her keeping the mutiny to itself like an Ein Taurus containing radon gas but now annealed to a hard melting point of ceramic gravity shall soon turn. This orb into pure white heat so that our gravitous bodies touching will become incandescent under heavy pressure and then be rock-like in their weight as we shall become as salacious as any stars or this might.
Hey, that's better than
A
German.
junkyard filled with unrepaired cars. Trained its stink on my first visit to downtown Anhalt. A walled madhouse filled with landmines and beautiful swans who no longer see humans as humans. Junkyard filled with unrepaired cars. Run the roads running in racecourse lanes of mortals. Whose commit courses reach their final running racetrack stretch of mortal ways before throwing one's love oil in them. Runner roulette, we net on each road, crossing the tracks, how far each race course lane has traveled, so you can toss the love oil into the lane the closest approaches the winsome cosmic quicksilver. The neckerchief tied around your chimney was made from where your position on the red square. You are drawn into this map of disposable immense. An atomic bomb's explosion a mile away still affects you if you've been following what happened to you when you woke up last night. Paparazzi seized a night of pure lovemaking by dawn. Stalinist street cleaners, horticulturists, walk through but cannot clean all the flowers coming into bloom because everything is one bloom from something else. So the street cleaners leave their horticultural tools behind as if the blooms have already grown too large to fit into anything, too full to contain their natural selves. The cells known to mineralogists as ticks extend deep into frozen rock, possibly beyond frozen rock itself, along the same line of movement that holds pink lakes, green swamps, bottled rains, and color and drifts in the undulating seasons of the Selp's ass. Some ticks lattice spectral energies that extend beyond this universe and touch the other one, along which it imagines itself across the Bifrost Bridge that never actually collapses, and you can't find your way off it. And if you were to throw your car key off it, it would fall back down into your path as you approach it, and being helplessly and thoughtfully encased in your own car far away from all others, you can no longer remember how you came to be there driving over the Bifrost Bridge looking at your own head all covered with black and white smudges that blot your sight, and you have no idea whether what you're seeing is a projection of your car key's view or the other side itself, and is it just some byproduct of your having gone insane to spend so much time looking off my own head that part of my brain shrinks trying to escape this weakness staving off insanity? Which I confuse with seeing a Myra Hindley documentary by mistake and not because of any brain damage, like looking forward to lovemaking only. To find myself alone, completely useless, untouchable, rateable for any lovemaking I did last night was survival and a constant attack in my own mind. A deliberate attack from pure loneliness. Loneliness attacking me not because I wanted to suffer under it or do anything about it, but because I'm like a zebra trapped in a crossfire who tries to ignore him, being shot at by trying to fight back the only way he can without caring what he's fighting for, because his only hope is that maybe everything will pass away before too much damage does him in, but they keep shooting at him anyway, so he just keeps trying to run away fast enough not to get hit, thinking because his skin is as tough as that of a zebra, maybe they should just try shooting at him with a laser pistol instead of a machine gun, and maybe he'll at least die outrunning them all. I shot out the side mirror of my car with a laser pistol turned on full power because someday I will be behind someone who wants to kill me, and there could be no more vital thing I could do than get around this person as fast as possible, screaming under a blood-red censored sky, clutching at my car's roofline, driven by Ryan. I'm only approaching instant death as I understand it, based on what Anna Funder says about wars in her left-leaning liberal memoir, Remaking the World, and some archaeological books of my own mind, just like I intend to make sudden death quick and not let anyone get close enough to kill me, no way, no how, even though I might get all the way exposed and dead and turn out alive and come back like Claude Rains gets back from drowning Keanu Reeves. A dyslexic person writes some PM backwards as COLF. We more broke than unbroke because we're running out of letters and we submit. Our brief in spite of being broke. writing and PM at right angles, making over our occupiers. Sign we construct from old mannequins' hands and old plastic buckets made into hinges for the top corners. And occupiers tests we build to test our occupiers to see if they're tofu or other make out soybean people. The word occupy tectum sideways to make Dolly of yours, etc. Dolly was his secretary and Dolly was his secretary means something only to the person who loves them as if they were passwords made up out of his imagination by himself, because how can anyone explain such a thing without seeming like utter buffoonery? Or maybe I'm trying to contradict myself by saying so many words are left out in his writing to be filling in the spaces, but the spaces have taken on such magical meaning that beauty is made out of enough words to fill every empty space, just like how pain is made out of enough blood to fill every empty space inside you, once again creating beauty out of emptiness. And holism is exactly right where holism equals basically everything.
Alright, that's it. That's a brief one. Our webisode